Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for accepting this invitation.
I'm honored to be here with you.
Thank you. In very simple words, what is the Rosicrucian order?
Rosicrucian order is a tradition.
Okay.
Is a school of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
We can put it in different levels. It was born on the history point of view. It was born in the 17th century, in 1614, with the first Rosicrucian manifesto called Forma Fraternitatis. So we can put our origin in this period of history in Germany. But we also talk about a tradition origin, and we talk about the ancient Egypt in the 18th dynasty. So there are these two levels, and obviously we talk normally about the historic aspects. We are a school of philosophy, as I said. Our most important aspect is to know ourselves. It's something that philosophers has been saying along the history of humanity. And we have our own tradition, own path to give to members the tools to achieve this goal.
Which is the purpose of the Rosicrucian order?
As I said, when you start to feel inside some important questions, when you start to feel that life can't be only what you see, your work, your life, everyday life, and you feel that maybe there is something more, because we start our life with this incredible mystery when we appear in this world with this breath, no? When we're born, and then the last thing we do is when we finish our experience in this world. Between these 2 points, there is our history, there is our experience, and in some points of this history we can feel that life is not only this, and we are made in different levels. We are made of not only by matter, but we are made of maybe with energies or things like this. So we start with questions. When we start with questions, we want answers. Rosicrucian path is a way to find our own answers. Because everyone has his own answer, even in the religion. God is not the same for everybody.
Right.
The words and the texts, the interpretations are not the same for everybody.
Sometimes it's fundamentally different.
Exactly.
Why the cross is one of the two fundamental symbols that you identify with?
Interesting question. If we made a research about the cross, we will see that the cross was born before Christianism. If we look, for example, at the ancient Egypt, we will find crosses around all Egypt. 3,000 years old, sometimes more. So the cross in this sense, for us, is not a religious symbol. We can interpret it, we can give it to this symbol different meaning, but I would like to use this one. Imagine that the cross is a symbol of man, us.
So you refer to the human body.
The human body. And in the middle of this cross, we have a rose.
Right.
And it symbolizes the soul aspect, the inner aspect of the human. So the Rosicrucian is a symbol of a man, a complete man. The body, the material aspect, and the spiritual aspect. So nothing with religion, not related to religion, because as I said, the symbol is older.
Who was Christian Rosenthrites? Can we talk about a real character, a real human being? Is it a fictitious one? Who was Christian Rosenthrites?
Christian Rosenthrites appeared the first time in the history in the Forma Fraternitatis, as I said, 1614. Then appears again in the second manifestos in the 1615, called the Confessio Fraternitatis. And in the third manifesto, in the 1616, and the chemical wedding of Christian Rosenthrites. This is a myth. It's not a real person. It's a symbol.
Okay.
It's completely symbolic. When we read these documents, everybody can find it on the internet, type in Fama Fraternitatis, you will see that the text is very symbolic. The journey of Christian Rosenthrites around the world, everything he has learned, all the aspects he taught, then the order, how he organized the order, is completely symbolic. So it's not a real person, historical person.
A question from one of our virtual viewers could be something like this. You have a cross as a fundamental symbol. You have a character, which is a fictitious one, Christian Rosenthrites. Why Christian? Why not Joachim? Why not Helmut? Why not any other name?
Yes.
A cross and a name which is Christian.
Yes. Yes, in this aspect, about this aspect, we must consider the historical aspect, where the movement appeared. It appeared in Europe, in the north of Germany, some years before the 30 Years' War.
Yep.
Okay. And Europe was living a very difficult period. We would say like we are living today. Yeah? A difficult period. We had a lot of wars based on religion, different visions. It's important to remember, for example, that Giordano Bruno in Italy, some years before, was burned in a square for his ideas. So we were living a very difficult period. The movement appears in North Europe, and obviously this was a period where in Europe we could talk only about Christianism. So for this reason, the movement and the documents, the Fama Fraternitatis, for example, they use a language very similar to Christianism, because it was important that people with their culture could understand the words and even the symbols. So it's full of symbols of Christianism, okay, but even of Hermetism, Kabbalah, and so forth.
This is a very legitimate question. Is the Rosicrucian order a secret society?
No, I am here. I think that is the best answer. We are not secret. Maybe, maybe in the past, yes. As I said, Giordano Bruno, only for his thoughts, he was burned. Galileo Galilei. We can see if we see the history of science, even the science. It was not easy that period. So we can understand that maybe in some periods of history, it was necessary that some movements like ours was secret.
Yep.
Not now. We are completely open. Our activities are known. You can find our activities on the internet. We have meetings open to people. I did it myself.
Yep.
Yes. So absolutely nothing based on secret.
We will come back to this accessibility, to this degree of accessibility. But when somebody hears order, when somebody hears Rosicrucian order, from books, old books, education, when you hear order, one might say this has to do something with secrecy. That's the normal way of thinking. People should think. Now, which is the connection in between the Rosicrucian order and the Freemasonry?
Okay, let me say only a few words about order. We have the order of doctors, we have the order of lawyers, architects, and they are not secret using this word. In the past, 200 years ago, some members of the movement, the Rosicrucian movements, were members of Freemasons also, were Freemasons. So in the past, in the history, we can find some connections. But what we can say is that these are two different schools with two different methods. Obviously, with respect to, because inside the order we have Freemasons, and it's normal as we have Christians or Hebrews. It's not important, this aspect. But these two schools are completely different. They follow their own method and nothing more. In the past, Freemason used the title of Knight, Rosicrucian Knight, for some degrees. because maybe remembering this connection in the history. But today we don't have any connection anymore.
Okay, which is the connection of the Rosicrucian order with alchemy?
We practice alchemy, but a special kind of alchemy.
Let's talk about that.
We are not interested in to produce gold. It seems strange. Okay, if somebody knows how to produce some kilos of gold, okay. No, but joking. And we practice a kind of alchemy, we call it spiritual alchemy. We understand that, as we said, the rose, for example, the rose is an unfold rose. It means that we can we can find inside us some process that produces transformations, real transformations.
So it's an interior alchemy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We call it spiritual, but with this meaning, it's an interior alchemy. The most important aspect for us is to transform the personality. It's interesting also because in the maybe 80 years ago, when the psychologists started to study alchemy, Carl Gustav Jung discovered the meaning of the language used by alchemy.
Right.
If you read something about alchemy today, with the language used centuries ago, it's completely impossible to understand. Jung made some studies and he discovered that those processes, in reality, is not a process, they are not process to produce gold, but it's a process that transforms the alchemist. And this is what we call spiritual alchemy. We are interested on this aspect, to produce transformation inside us, a new way to see the reality, to interpret our own life.
Is the old understanding of alchemy or the old practice of alchemy still existing?
Yes, we have members that they like to study, they study, they practice, because, as you know, we have members interested in different aspects of the old science, and even on the alchemy on this aspect. Alchemy, you know, who study chemistry, for example, I studied chemistry.
A chemist?
Yes, in the university they teach us that alchemy is the origin of chemistry, and you can imagine those old men in their laboratory trying to produce gold, transform a lead on gold. It was an absurd. Today we know that it's not an absurd anymore, because it's possible to transform one atom in another. Okay, it's possible. It costs energy, but it's possible. But the most important was that the goal was not only to make gold, but they produced a lot of substances, acids and salts, not known in that period. So they made a very important discovery for chemistry also.
What could you answer in very simple words if, let's say, a practicing Christian could meet you and told you something like this: your beliefs are clear heresy? What would you answer?
Oh, interesting. If we check even the history of religions, we will see that the religion was not the same 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. The religion has been changed also. So what is heresy? A different way of thinking? Yes, if it's an heresy, I would say yes, it's an heresy. But for us, it's important the tolerance. I accept that you have a completely different thoughts, and it's normal for me. I consider it a value. It's an absurd if everybody repeats the same words, have the same thoughts. I think it's an absurd. We know the experience we had in the history. It's terrible.
Right.
I think that is a big value if every man, every woman can develop his own thoughts in freedom.
Women are permitted to be members of your order?
Absolutely, absolutely. As you said in the beginning, we have this function inside the order called Grand Master. Grand Master for us is not somebody that is a special being that knows secrets. No, it's somebody that gives to the order a service to members for a period of his life. And we have in the world we have Grand Masters, women Grand Masters. So for us, absolutely normal. We don't make difference. Absolutely.
Obviously, in the process of preparing this meeting, I did some reading, and I found out that the access to your order is very simple. I mean, you seem to be in a very open process of recruiting people. Why do you do that? Because your historical reputation is that of a very selective organization.
Yes, we are still very selective organization, but we don't make the selection. The consciousness make this.
Ah, what do you mean?
It's very important. It's very important. We say, okay, there are 1,000 things that you can follow when you want to answer those questions. You can find the religions, movements, everything you want to. If you decide to become a member of Rosicrucian, you must be aware that you will have a contact with your own consciousness. You will start to hear your inner voice. And this inner voice always will say to you what is good for you and what is not. This voice it will always say to you when you are doing something wrong or not. So we can't control person. It's not our interest, this aspect. Because we know that if somebody is sincere, his consciousness will talk to him and he will decide what is better. So we don't make this selection anymore in this aspect. But at the same time, we must say that we are not a big number organization. For this reason also, because sometimes it's not easy to stop in your life. We are always running. We have the work. We have a lot of problems to solve, and then suddenly you have to stop 1 or 2 hours in a week to meditate, to hear this voice, to start to read your life. It's not easy.
What will you answer to one of our virtual viewers who could think something like this? Well, this Italian grandmaster as a new Imperator speaks very interesting things. Rosicrucian order sounds very interesting. I will go there because maybe I will gain a very important social position. I will have a lot of influence. I will have some extra powers, very different from a normal human being. That's my place. What would you answer to that?
So, as I said, it's impossible for us to read what is written in the human heart. I can't say, oh, you are honest, you are sincere. I can't. It's not in my... But what I can say is that if somebody thinks in this way, they will not stay in the order. Because soon they will see that it's not our goal. We are not interested in this aspect, absolutely. We are interested in spiritual alchemy. We are interested in to develop a sort of a fraternity based on tolerance, comprehension, and it is not easy. It doesn't give power to man, absolutely. And we know we are living in a period where these aspects are not so easy to live in our societies. So what I can say is that it's an illusion. And if somebody with these thoughts become members, soon we will leave the order, soon.
Okay. In one of your conferences, a very interesting conference, you talk about the origins and the forming of the universe. You talk about the Big Bang, but you also talk about the consciousness of the divine. You talk about primitive life forms, but you say that they are stirred by the law of love. You talk about a universal soul, which is the very essence of every atom, you say. There's science, and there's something else in your discourse. What is that something else?
This something else we call mysticism. Mysticism for us is not a practice where I go to the top of the mountain and I stay alone all my life meditating and praying. No. Mysticism is an experience. And we can see this particular experience in different fields inside the human lives. For example, in the religion, we know, but even in science. There are some levels of science when we observe some aspects that touch us deeply. We see a sort of order, a sort of intelligence, a sort of equilibrium working on the matter, on the structure of universe, on everything. Cosmologists used to say that when you study the universe, the impression you have is order. You see everything is in the right place. We talk about the Big Bang to discuss about how everything has begun. And then obviously it's interesting because we see these first atoms appearing in the beginning of this phenomena. These atoms started to become more complex, appeared a lot of atoms. Then the planets appeared, the stars, so forth. Suddenly, these atoms are combined in a special structure, forming molecules. These molecules start to combine and to produce a completely different structure called cell.
Right.
And cell is able to reproduce itself, to react to the environment, and so it's incredible. It's what we call life. We are saying that atoms can be organized in a way to produce life, and suddenly this life, these cells can organize different structure, more complex, and suddenly we appear in this little planet, and we are a composition of cells made by molecules, made by atoms. So we are a composition of atoms that are studying universe.
Right.
It's like we could say the universe has created a structure to study itself.
Or to contemplate itself.
So when you observe all this process, even under the science point of view, you feel something inside that is like a mystery. Mystery is not something that is mystery for us is this experience of wonder, something that is incredible. This is the aspect that science is touching now. You know, neuroscientists are studying the consciousness, for example. It's a mystery. How is it possible that atoms organized in this structure can start to think, to imagine, to dream, to compose music? How is it possible? It's a mystery for science also. So it's very interesting for us. This is one aspect of the spirituality, is one of those aspects that we study inside the order.
You talk in such nice words about this mysterious experience. But are you aware of the fact that we live in a time of quantum physics, astrophysics, and you talk about the universal law of love? Isn't this a little bit ridiculous? End of quotation. What would you answer to that?
Yes, it depends. You know, when we start to talk about aspects like philosophy or even science, or in Italy I joked to say soccer, it's important that we achieve an agreement about the meaning of words. Because if we don't have an agreement, maybe I use a word, you give it to this word another sense, and the communication is not perfect.
I agree.
When we talk about love, we are not talking about the emotional love or the love that one man can feel for a woman or for my child. We are not. This is one aspect. When we talk about love, we talk about a law that maintains all this equilibrium. It's interesting because even Einstein was looking for one equation to unify all the fields. Okay, maybe it was an intuition. Maybe he could feel something inside that it must be only one equation that describes all these fields, all these basic aspects of life. So we can identify some reality, some aspect that keeps all the universe in this equilibrium, and call this aspect, this unifying aspect, love. So this is the word used in this sense is what we mean when we use the word love.
Because it's very hard for a contemporary human being living in a very practical, a very palpable, a very material world to operate with metaphors. It seems something very, not very hard, but not very useful. Metaphors don't seem to be very useful nowadays. What do you think about that?
I agree totally with you. But there are aspects that can't be described with the logic, thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
There are aspects that can be described only by metaphors, analogies, symbols, and again, it's true even for science. If we imagine when the quantum physics was
Yep.
born, they immediately started to verify through these experiments that the logic we are used to use was not working anymore. Some structures are matter and vibration, not matter sometimes and vibration sometimes, but at the same time. For our logic, it's absolutely impossible.
Yep.
Or something is matter or something is vibration. No, quantum physics showed us that some structures that compose our body also are vibrations and matter at the same time. So when you start to talk about these aspects that are against our logic, it's very difficult to use the normal vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult because the vocabulary are not able to transmit, to show, to define this specific
Yep.
experience. So in the quantum physics, we use mathematics, and in the mysticism or spirituality, we must use this kind of languages. And if we look around us, this is the language of art. Art uses this language. It's a symbolic language. It's something that is to talk to our soul, not to our brain. So this is the difference, and we need it because we have these both aspects inside us. We are rational beings.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. We use our brain to define, to analyze. It's very important. But there are other aspects that touch us in the heart, inside, and these aspects I can show to somebody else only using metaphors or the language of art, for example.
Here's a very practical thing. You talked about the fact that regardless of the religion, each human being could be a member of your order. One could think something like this. So, one could think, I'm a Christian. I will never be near a Muslim in any type of organization, in any type of practical situation on the face of this earth. I mean, I cannot be a brother in a brethren organization with a Muslim. What would you answer to that?
So when we analyze some aspects of our life, it depends the position where we are. If I am in the top of a mountain and I look in the bottom, I will see a reality. If I am in the bottom and I look at the top, I will see another reality. So it's very important to change the position we are when we analyze some aspects of our life. We know that this is normal, mm-hmm. that I trust that Christ can save me or Muhammad can save me. It's normal. It's our faith is what we feel inside. It's absolutely normal. What is not normal is that we fight for this position. It's not normal. It happens because we observe each other in a completely wrong position. Mm-hmm. We should see that God or love or the law is working on different levels, and it's the same for everybody. So in the order, for example, as I said, we have Christians, Hebrews, and we don't have problems on this aspect because they understand perfectly that what they are looking for, what they are searching for, is the same for everybody. So I live my life in my religion without problems, and then at the same time I want to mix a specific research. I want to follow this path, to go deeply inside some aspects, symbolic aspects, and then what I discover that we use different languages, mm-hmm. but to say the same thing. So the only result of this path can be the fraternity, the respect, the tolerance. Because you use a language based on your culture, the part of the world where you grow up, and things like that. And so the difference is only this. But we are talking about the same thing.
You come from Italy.
Yes.
We live in a very complicated political situation. What do you think about the internal alchemy of the European Union nowadays, right now, as we speak?
We think that it's very important for everybody, even for politics, that we start to understand what is important for the humankind. In our opinion, if we keep talking about borders, if we keep continuously talking about difference, I am different from you, if we keep talking about this aspect, we will never find harmony in this planet. The planet is very, we don't have so much space. It's a little planet in a huge space, incredible space. So we should start to think about humankind in our vision. Obviously, this is an idea. It can be called utopia. No? Yes, it can be called utopia. And we see what we feel, what we believe is that it's necessary to talk about utopia, but in a different way. If we start to look the Holy Land on map, we will never see peace in the Holy Land, because the Holy Land is not on map. The Holy Land is an idea we have in our heart, and the journey to the Holy Land is not made by plane, it's made by going inside ourselves. So if we start to educate people to read the reality in this way, if we start to see that we are few human beings in the incredible universe, we should work together, we should start together, stay together, and to work for the goods conditions for everybody in this planet. I understand that if the politics talk about power, they want to divide the parties. If we are on this level, the results, we know the results, we can see the results. But again, the political aspects are not our goal. We don't talk about politics. We talk about this kind of alchemy, everything that it should be for everybody, everywhere in this planet.
How do you succeed to avoid politics in your discussions?
No, politics, obviously. Politics, if we mean by politics the discussion parties, my party against your party, obviously, if we talk about society, if we talk about the future, if we talk about the society we would like to have, the fraternity, we are talking about politics. Yeah, absolutely. So on this level, it's absolutely normal we talk about politics. What we are not interested in is to discuss about the political situation, the banks or economy on this level. We are not interested. We think that everybody must be free to make their own choice in every field. So it's not a problem of our order. Everybody in order are free in this aspect.
I keep on thinking of our virtual viewer who could say something like this. Well, this Rosicrucianism is not so interesting. It's far too much liberal for my taste. What would you answer?
Too much liberal?
Yep.
Again, it depends what means liberal. As I said, we are an order, we have a structure, and we are, we can say, like a school, to express better this word. We are divided in degrees of studies. We have this structure. What means liberal? You are free to become a member. You are free to leave the order. You are free to become a member again. You are free to leave the order again. Is it the meaning of liberal? Okay, we are liberal because we think that man...
That's liberal at the max.
Yes, but we must be free. If the consciousness is not free, we don't have evolution. The evolution or the spiritual alchemy is based on the freedom. You must be free to make your own choices, to make mistakes, to correct it, to learn from it. It's necessary. If you follow what I say, you are not free.
You use a formula which is a better world for everybody, which is a formula used by tens of thousands of other organizations and persons. Is that possible, a better world for everybody?
It's interesting. If we look the newspaper today, or if we check the television news in televisions, the image we will have about the world is terrible. Because it's true, we are living in some parts of the world, we are living terrible experience.
Right.
Syria or Afghanistan, we know, terrible, full of pain. What we don't see is that there is a full of initiatives, full of movements around the planet, working in the opposite direction. We don't see it, but it's true, it exists. It's full of young people working for protect nature, to civil rights, to protect, to grow and to develop a new world, a new vision. It's full around the planet. So we are, I think that we are completely correct to trust in this, and we must put our energy on this direction, to concentrate our energies on these directions, because this is the future. We must connect ourselves with other people that are thinking the same way, that it's possible. Not we will think the same ideas, but we know that it's possible to build another world. It's not a dream. If we think that it's a dream, it's an utopia, okay, we are responsible for the results. Okay, so it depends. It's our choice.
Grandmaster, good is not sexy anymore. Good is not at fashion at all. I mean, good is not interesting nowadays. How will you make it interesting? What will you say about that?
It's important that you feel, you hear the emotions, the thoughts that grows inside you. To understand if something is good, to understand if your choice is correct, you must only stop and feel the reaction inside you. I'm sure you will understand immediately, because this is our nature. We are not we are not computers. We are human beings. We have a sensibility. And so, to understand what means good, only the person who is doing the question can answer this question. I want to understand what is good for me, what good means. It's necessary that I start a path. It can be religious, can be the order, can be 1,000 things to answer this question. And sure, we will answer it. In different steps, in different periods of our lives, we will have different answers. It's normal. When I was a boy, the answers were completely different from now. But I'm convinced that if you make the question clearly to yourself, you will feel the answer, absolutely.
So you can be a Rosicrucian without knowing it?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for accepting this invitation.
I'm honored. Thank you very much.
Good luck with all that you do.
Thank you.